What's cracking, everybody? Welcome back to the channel. New video. I saw this news article, the one in the thumbnail, and then maybe I'll post it here. And it is something I want to talk about. So apparently, the California Department of Corrections is being investigated for some sexual assaults that are apparently rampant within the California Department of Corrections. And it's a trip because a lot of people seem to have this weird either fascination with that subject. Maybe it's just a fear of theirs, of course, who wants that to happen to. I don't know, but there's a lot of people that really believe that stuff goes on in prisons. So when I saw that and I thought of how people are always saying certain things, I said, well, then let me get into it. So first off, those assaults that are being investigated are all at the women's prison. 2 women's prisons, actually, in California. And I could see that happening. Unfortunately, I could see that happening because, and no disrespect, but not everyone that's hired by the California Department of Corrections is a great person. On the men's side, I have seen correctional officers. There's one in particular. There's several actually from New Folsom. But there's one in particular, and I don't want to say his name. I don't want to get sued by him, but he was, I saw him get beat down several times because of his mouth and his attitude, right? Now, having that understood, that those kind of things probably do happen at a women's facility, it is not allowed whatsoever in the men's facilities. And I'm not talking about the CDC's rules. There isn't a convict in there who gives a damn about the rules that the CDC imposes. What people care about is the rules that their faction impose, because the penalties for breaking those rules can be pretty damn severe, gonna be very swift, and going to be very violent. In the California prison system, and I'm gonna catch heat, even though I'm not gonna say which group, there's only one group in California on the prison yards that allow homosexuals to be on the yard. And even though I'm not going to name that group, and that's not a slight, it's the fucking reality of prison in California, you don't hear of anybody being sexually assaulted, because for all the other factions, even that faction, I don't think they would allow that to happen. I don't think they'd be okay with that happening. But as far as all the other groups, man, like if you get aroused, in order to sexually assault someone, there has to be an attraction, right? There has to be some arousal, right? And if you are aroused or attracted to another man in prison, the men that you run around with aren't going to look at you as a man. And they don't want other people, other factions pointing and laughing like, hey, these dudes are supposed to be tough, and look at what they fight over. Look at what they're all in love with. That's the mentality out here in California on the prison yards. I know in other states, those things happen. And those things happen because there aren't any politics involved that dictate how you're going to act and how you're going to do your time. People say, oh, you guys in California are weak. You guys let other people tell you what to do. So do you. You might think you run your own program, but why did you wind up in jail? Who are you running around with on the streets? Who are you trying to impress? So, that whole thing, tell you what, I would rather live, if I had to be in prison, I would rather live under policies and expectations of a faction that is going to have things in place where those type of things don't happen. You got these other states, every man for themselves, and you think it makes you tougher. I don't think so. The amount of violence that has to occur in California prison yards, the expectation of men to engage in violent acts in California, I would think in another prison system where you get to be on your own, you don't have to act unless someone's trying to jump on you. And I'm not trying to compare who's harder or who's not, because I could give a damn. People can get in the comments and tell me, oh, California's soft and your state this and your state. I don't care. But what I did want to do with this video was explain to people that that stuff doesn't happen. I was on Jesse on Fire yesterday. Shout out to Jesse on Fire. Go and subscribe to his channel. I was on we did a live together yesterday, and it was a very horrific topic. But when I mentioned, to introduce myself to people, and when I mentioned my stupidity at getting incarcerated at the age of 13 and then getting out and then picking up a murder and then doing 24 years, there were a couple people in there, oh, were you hiding the sausage in prison? And it just trips me out how that is intriguing or even funny to people. It doesn't happen in California, and I know it happens in other states, but I didn't do time in those other states. And so those content creators that have done time in those states, there you go. Apparently there's a huge appetite for that type of talk and that type of story, but it doesn't happen in California, not amongst the men. And it's unfortunate that it happens amongst the women. But that's my video. Hopefully you guys enjoyed it. We have the new year coming, rapidly approaching, and I want to make sure that I take a moment to just say, be safe, man. Be smart. Don't drink and drive. That's a day where a lot of people get severely injured. Some lose their lives, and it's just devastating to those who get hurt and those who die, their families. So just plan ahead, man. Plan ahead and think of others, think of your neighbors. That said, everybody, please be safe, be smart, and tell the ones you love that you love them, man. I'm out of here.